G'day everybody, my name's Darren and I own Mother's Ruin along with my better half. Today I'm going to give you a tour and talk about one of Australia's very few common juniper plantations. So Mother's Ruin is in the New England region of New South Wales and is 100 acres of ex-cow paddock. It's surrounded by a road to the east and this little, you can't really see them, I'll do it over here, this little mountain range up the back. We don't own the big hills, but we own the valleys that run up into it. We get about 450 millimetres of rain a year, and this is the southern third of the block, which will be planted in 2024. So we've been owners of Mother's Ruin for about 18 months, and for the first 12 months we didn't touch the southern part of the block. It's very, very rocky and it had a lot of scrub regrowth, so didn't touch this part. In the last 6 months we've had the dozer in and cleaned up, and it's more around cleaning the regrowth and making sure that it was plantable. In the next 6 months, provided we get some rain, we're going to continue to prep the beds and where the trees are going to go and put the irrigation in. But for now, the goal was to clean it out and work out what we've got. And what we've got here is about 8,000 trees of space, which is going to take us about a year to plant. It's very chocolatey soil in this little part, and then as we move back down to where we started, down that end, it gets much sandier and a little bit more brown. We don't actually have a specific description for our soil other than at the moment it's very dry. We did have 5 floods in 9 weeks last year, and it was very wet, and that's the cycle of the country. It's either wet or dry, very often not much in between. We're about 280 metres above sea level here, and at the top of the hill there, about 350. We get a lot of prevailing northwesterly winds, we get a lot of cold mornings, and it's a nice place to be. So this is the centre section of the block. At our narrowest point, our property is only 60 metres wide, and that's just behind you here. And it's affectionately known as the rock bar because there's about 1 million boulders in there which we're never ever going to be able to move. We don't get a lot of traffic either. That's probably the third car for the day. Our plan here in the centre is to plant this in 2023. We have 4,500 trees ready. We just need some precipitation from above just to give the soil back a little bit. The trees don't mind staying in the tubes, but in the next couple of months this will be planted. We have seen on the block we have a variety of wildlife: echidnas, goannas, kangaroos, the odd pig. We've got one white-tailed fox back over there, and we haven't seen many cats. We also haven't seen a lot of snakes yet, touch wood, so this is a good thing. At its widest point, our property is actually about 800 metres back up into the trees, but we only have about 40 plantable acres, and that's fine because this was for us a trial to make sure the process works, and then we're going to expand hopefully into the next property that way, maybe into the next property that way. Back in the centre of the block, our property goes right up into this valley, and we have a pair of nesting wedge-tailed eagles on that side and another pair on that side, which is pretty cool. Again, this is part of the centre section. This will be planted this year. The other thing we're doing is we're growing silver dollar gums and various different types of Australian natives for the florist industry, and we have some trial trees up here. It's been very dry, like I said, they're going okay. It's not the primary income source, but we're trying to put a little bit back. We've also planted yellow box gums in all the waterways, and we're going to keep doing that because there's a theory, and we're hoping they're right, that there may actually be koalas living in our country. So if we put yellow box gums in and some other koala type trees, we'll encourage this as a safe habitat. So that's a little bit exciting if you're excited by the little Australian short-tailed possum. We also do tractors and various other things. So from here, we're going to go up to where we've planted. So this is the top end of the centre section. Again, we have a tight spot on the block. We're about 100 metres to our boundary away from the road, and it diverges in both directions. This is going to be our very next patch to plant, and I'll walk over and get some soil. So at the moment, it's very, very dry, but our irrigation has been approved in principle by New South Wales Water recently, and that's very exciting because we'll be able to irrigate and keep things alive. At the moment, we're irrigating by hand, by water tank from home into the water tanks here, and keeping things alive. It's challenging. We've been doing it for 12 months. Hopefully soon it ends, but we've also in the middle of a little drought. So we've had 60 millimetres of rain since March, at the end of March, and we're keeping things alive. So it's a bit exciting, even though we're watering every night and waiting, and we've got lots going on. So 2023 planting here, 2024 planting down the back end, and just over there is what we've planted. So, and I know that's what people want to see, so let's go and have a look. So we're about 40 feet, what's that, 12, 13 metres from where we were last were a minute ago. And behind me here you can see the northern section of the block. We have just under 3,000 trees planted here. They're on a 1.5 metre spacing. They're between 12 months and 2 years old, and they're going very, very well. What we've found with juniper, particularly because we're making them from cuttings, what we've found is they either live or they die. When we make them at a cutting stage, we budget a 50% survival rate, and we're getting better than that. We're getting 70-80% survival rate at cutting stage. Some go really, really well and others don't. We're still working out the best time to cut, the best process to cut, and generally how to make them last longer. The other thing we're finding is when we put them in the ground, when we go from a cutting in a tray to a tree in the ground, we get, on average, we budget 80% survival rate, so 4 out of 5. But we're also finding that we're getting better than that in some areas based on the soil type. So we have one patch here that's almost 100% survival. We have another patch that was about a 75% survival rate. It's about water, and it's about when we plant them and what sort of growth stage they're in. So for a 40 cell tray, if I cut them at home, because that's where our source trees are, for a 40 cell tray, overall we expect 16 to survive. And that doesn't sound like a lot, and it isn't a lot, but that's currently where we stand. We have gotten better. Originally we were getting 10 out of 40, and now we're getting 16, 18, 20, and in some patches 35. So there's some high variability. We do have a fertiliser specialist working with us to improve that, but like most things common juniper, no one really knows what's going on in Australia because very few people are doing this, and that makes it exciting. So this is patch 1, and here in this row, hang on, there we go, we have, these trees are no older than 2 years old. They were cut at this big. We grew them in pots until they were about 12, 18 inches. Then we bought the block and then we planted them in the ground. And I'm going to stop looking at this on the camera and you can look at some trees, and I'll talk in the background. It is starting to get a bit windy. We do have a storm coming. Fingers crossed we get some. But I'll give you a quick example of some of the trees we have. We also have a very noisy dog in the background who doesn't like birds. So this is one of our pot trees, and I'm about 6 foot high, so this is about 4 foot tall. These are going very, very well. These were planted in July and August last year, and they're showing some really, really positive growth, and we're very, very happy. When we first planted, we had some issues with cockies knocking the lower branches off, so we've had to put tree surrounds on, but since then we haven't had any dramas. This is an example of a tree that's less than a year old. So the covers are 40 centimetres tall. So this tree has grown from about 5 to 8 centimetres high and is now about 40 centimetres and out of focus. We get very good growth. We're getting very good growth at the moment. Hang on a sec. Sorry about that, had to chase the dog. So we're getting very, very good growth, new growth on the tips, and good straight trees. And that's the other part that the covers are helping for. So what we found is that the males are quite sprawled and the females are very, very vertical. Let's put this cover back on. And that holds true to what we've seen in other places. Some of these trees have gone very, very well. So this tree is also less than 18 months old. It's coming along very, very well. Some of the bigger trees, back up in here, are also going very, very well. We do see a lot of these little, get it in focus. This year we've seen a lot of focus. Come on, you can do it. There we go. These little yellow growth nodules, and they just turn into leaves eventually, but they're different sort of leaves. But we don't have a lot of berries yet. We do have some. Here's another example of that kind of thing. But we're confident. We live in a very cypress-rich environment, and this is a very cypress type tree, funnily enough, because it's part of that family. Some of these are due to get uncovered, like this one, and once we get a bit of rain, that will happen. We do have 5 bisexual junipers up in here, and we just put them in as a trial. We haven't seen much out of them yet. In terms of male to female ratio, that's something people ask a lot about. We have 1 male to every 10 females on average, and we try to plant them like that in patch 1, and then in patch 2, 3 and 4 we went random. So this is patch 1, patch 2's there, patch 3 is up there, and patch 4 is down there, and it's all irrigated currently by IBCs up the top, and we just dump 1,000 litres in each one. So each patch gets about 1,000 litres every 3 or 4 days. The other thing we're growing as a bit of a sideline crop, apart from weeds, is we're growing, where's the best one? Here we go. We're growing gladioli flowers, forestry. So this was 1 bulb that was planted last year, and as you can see, it's multiplied. So generally we have a tree, 2 spare watering points, and then another tree, 2 spare watering points, then another tree. So we decided to not waste that water and plant bulbs, and you can see just here I've got one of last year's bulbs coming back, and that's been the problem with no rain this year, is the bulbs are going to be very, very late. We do have some flowers appearing, and hopefully we can turn a bit of profit from those. So that's our common juniper patch. 2,500, ranging in size from about that to, we've got a couple over here approaching 5 feet, and various soil types and various types of can't think of the words. They all get something a little bit different. The soil up there is different to the soil here, which is different over there to over there, and that's part of the challenge. So I've got to go and water the new trees, so we'll go up there and have a look, and then we'll sign off from up the top, and you can ask me any questions you want. So these are the trees we're going to plant this year. There's males and females all mixed in together. They're about 12 to 18 weeks old, and as you can see, they either live or they die. And some of these trees have already been planted. I've been putting a few replacements in. Some trays have gone really well, and then other trays have gone very poorly. One thing we are trying to do this year is cut them a little bit straighter and a little bit taller. And for example, in this tray here, there's 80 trays in this tray, 80 trees in this tray. At this stage, rough count, I've lost 5, maybe 6. So that's 74 out of 80. But if I come back up to this side, in this tray, I'd be lucky to have 20 out of 80. So it's been a bit hit and miss. The weather hasn't helped. So we're just waiting, like I said, we're just waiting for some rain, and then Chico's going to plant all the trees for me. It is quite a labour intensive process planting trees because we stake and cover all of them. So we give these a quick drink and then we'll go and sign off. The other thing we have at Mother's Ruin is old tractors. We've got old Fiats and old Masseys and Internationals and Fergies because, well, that's what life's all about, collecting old tractors. Okay everybody, that will wrap up today's little tour. I know I haven't covered everything. I know there's many questions. I know I can answer some of them. Do we have berries on trees? Yes. Do we have enough to be excited about? Yes. Yet? No. Are we going to share them eventually when we see them in prolific nature? Yeah, of course we are. Are we going to sell locally? Absolutely. Are we going to sell fresh? Absolutely. Is it going to work? Don't know. We'll find out. I believe we're probably 2 to 3 to 4 years from wholesale large scale production. That's fine. I've got plenty of flowers to grow. I still work full time, and we're not doing this because we can do it quickly. We're doing it because we wanted to. So yeah, so there you go. That's Mother's Ruin. I'll give you a bit of a panorama off the dam in a second, and then I'll do a little bit at the end of the trees we've got at home, which were our proof of concept trees, which are taller than me. If you do have questions, fire them in. I'll always try and answer them where I can. If I don't know the answer, I'll write, I don't know, because I don't know. If you are a commercial juniper grower, common juniper grower, and you are in Australia, please reach out. Oh, I'd love to talk to you. I have so many questions about fertiliser strategies you're using, about what sort of growth rate you've got, how far apart are your trees. We're 1.5 meters apart. They're going to be hedges, and they're going to be 4 metres tall. How are we going to pick them? That's a different day's episode. There are so many questions that I have and that you have. And as a group, I'm led to believe there's about 12 commercial growers in Australia of various sizes. 3 big ones, which hopefully will include us, and some smaller scale ones. And I think it's time we showed the world what we're doing. So wherever you are in the world watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. We do all sorts of stuff, cars and tractors and dogs and trees and flowers and stuff. So subscribe, it's free. Say hello wherever you are in the world. If you live overseas and you grow common juniper, say hello, you know, that's what it's all about. So I'm going to go and chase the noisy dog and finish some watering over there. And you have a great day and stay safe. See you later. And now I'll turn the camera off. So currently all of these trees are surviving on about 200 to 250 millilitres per tree or watering point a week. So they're going very, very well for a very minimal water strategy. But that's part of the fun. So this is one of our original trees. It's 5 years old and I can't reach the top. I'm 6'4" and it's up there somewhere and I can't get my arms around it. This tree has had about 4,000 cuttings taken off it. So it used to be a lot wider, and we've also topped them and they've grown back really well. So thanks for watching. I know it's a bit long, but hopefully now everyone's got some idea about what we're doing at Mother's Ruin. See you next time.